My name is Omar Ford, and I'm the managing editor of MDDI. And I want to talk a little bit about the rise or this renaissance of artificial intelligence in the medtech industry. Now, AI has been around for a while in healthcare, and it's been highly prevalent in other industries as well. But what we're seeing specifically in medtech is medtech kind of catching up to everybody else. The time is really hot right now for AI. We're seeing different applications. We're seeing different companies come up with different ideas and how to deal with this influx of data that 2014 and 2015 brought upon us. Because you remember, we were once drowning in data. We still are. Physicians still are. There's so many devices, so many different technologies out there now that gather information in devices, gather information in data, that it can be overwhelming. And I think what we're seeing now is we're seeing AI come to the forefront because AI can help bridge the gap between the data that's gathered and making some sense of what that data means for the patient. And we're seeing AI not necessarily at the research level. I want to make that clear. It's a little bit above that now. We've had a couple of devices, a couple of tests that have been given FDA approval that kind of incorporate AI features. We've also seen a lot of companies in development of AI solutions that kind of go along with contemporary devices. And there are a couple things that I want to say about that. What we haven't really seen are larger companies kind of gravitate toward AI yet. The closest thing I think we've seen is Johnson & Johnson with Verily Life Sciences creating a surgical robot that will incorporate AI features, but that has not yet been released yet, and we don't really have a ton of details on it. And that company that Johnson & Johnson and Verily created, that joint venture, is Verb. But I think we will see larger companies kind of gravitate toward AI. But I think they'll pick it up through means of acquisitions. And that's what the larger strategics do. You know, they see the smaller companies that are successful in the space and they kind of gobble them up. Research and development is kind of dicey nowadays. People would the larger companies would rather just acquire smaller ones. And thankfully, there's several smaller companies. There are lots of smaller companies in the space that are developing AI solutions. And I think that what we'll ultimately see, what will happen with this is that artificial intelligence is going to change medtech. It's going to kind of redefine medtech. And it's going to change the way FDA looks at medical devices. Because FDA, even though they've made some approvals, they're going to have to figure out how to regulate this software, how to really pull it apart. Because each case is different. AI isn't something like it isn't something like say a dialysis machine, or it isn't an LVAD device or a glucose monitor. In most sense, it's a software feature or some algorithm that can kind of analyze, that can kind of interpret, that can sift through this data, that can kind of come up with conclusions to help the physician and help the patient understand their condition a little bit better. I know I'm oversimplifying it a ton here, but ultimately, I think FDA is going to have to look at artificial intelligence a little bit differently. And by doing that, they'll have to look at the device differently and on an individual basis. Now, as I said, FDA has been very open, very friendly with AI technologies. They've approved a few tests, but AI, there are more solutions down the pike, and those solutions are only going to get more complex. And so how do you regulate that? CMS is going to have the same issue. How do you reimburse hypothetically, how do you reimburse for an AI-based test that you can run on hundreds of patients in a matter of minutes? Do you do it for each time? If you do it each time and they can reimburse and keep not reimburse, but keep running the test quickly over and over and over again, do you reimburse for each time? Say that's 300 patients a pop. By day 3, you've run it, you've had 900 uses of the test. Do you reimburse for all 900 uses? So these are questions that are going to have to be answered. And artificial intelligence is going to bring up a lot of those questions, beyond our scope right now. Beyond my scope, definitely. But they're going to bring a whole new set of questions. And we're going to have to come up with some answers very quickly. Artificial intelligence is not a fad. It's not a buzzword. It's not something that's going to go away. It's something that's going to slowly build. And it's not going to necessarily be the artificial intelligence device, but a normal feature within many established medical devices that make them more efficient, that kind of can show the outcomes more favorably, and also that can really, really give suggestions and coaching based on a patient's use of the device, and draw some analytics together to make it a more personalized experience. We're in the middle of the artificial intelligence renaissance. 2018 is the year that artificial intelligence takes off in medtech, or has taken off in medtech. Let's see what 2019 brings for AI.